Hi, and welcome to Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Beginners Yoga. I'm Chris, and I think tonight I will start on our backs. So I don't know if you're using a mat at home, but come to your mat or to your spot and bring yourself onto your back. And at first, just go ahead. I just need to check the camera here, make sure you can see me. Just go ahead and allow yourself to relax onto the floor, just letting your body completely be supported by gravity. You could keep your knees bent with the soles of your feet on the floor. And then kind of press your heels into the floor and then push yourself towards the top of your mat and let yourself kind of jiggle back down. So kind of rocking your body. So you're kind of pressing into the heels and releasing, and your upper body is just kind of sliding up and down. Just a couple more of those. And then stop doing that and bring your arms and legs up, kind of like dead bug, and just shake. Shake your legs, shake your arms. Let your body be heavy on the floor and just kind of rotating your legs and your arms in their respective joints. A couple more times. And then just releasing and bringing your feet back down towards the floor. And then bring your arms up over your head and stretch your legs out and press through your heels. So draw your toes back towards your shins, so flexing your ankles. And just reaching through your hands. And then bring your arms down by your sides and just point and flex your toes a few times. And then bend your left knee again and bring your hands behind your thigh on your right foot and do some circles with your ankle, your right ankle. Keeping your upper body relaxed, circling your foot in one direction and then the other. And you can make the circles as big as you want, moving your toes, and then release that side and bring the hands behind your left thigh. You can keep your knee bent and make circles with the opposite ankle. Just kind of feeling your way through your range of motion in these rotations. And then also switching directions. Maybe let your toes kind of wiggle as you do that. And then draw your knees in towards your chest and rock a little side to side. Again, you can rock all the way over, kind of coming to your elbow, and then pushing and rocking back to the other side. Or you can rock just a little bit, just kind of doing it your own way. And then bringing the soles of your feet back down to the floor. Bring your arms down by your sides with your palms down, and then lift the hips and lift the arms up over the head into bridge pose, and then slowly rolling back down. So we'll just move through this a few times. So you might inhale as you come up, and exhale as you come down. Just like 2 or 3 more times. Feeling the movements of your spine. And then coming back down to the ground, and this time flip your palms open and lift up into bridge, and just hold bridge for a few breaths here. Take nice deep breaths, keeping that curve under the back of the neck intact. And when your legs start to fatigue, see if you can kind of find another place to help you, like your pelvis or your glutes. And then slowly, really, really slowly, roll your vertebrae down. Each little segment, drawing the belly in as you come to the lower segments. And then again, draw the knees in towards the chest, rocking a little bit side to side. And then extend your left leg. You could flex the foot and bringing your right hand onto your right knee, starting to make circles with the hip, circling in one direction, keeping both sides of your sacrum on the floor, and then switch your directions. And then bringing both arms out to the sides, you could extend your right leg up. If it's more comfortable, you can always bend your left knee and keep the sole of the foot on the floor. And then circling that foot, just go slowly, feeling into the rotations of your hip. You might want to make the circle get bigger as you go. See what happens when you engage in your belly, how that helps you to stay stable in the center of your body as you move into these wider circles. And then switch directions, maybe making the circles from bigger to smaller. So the upper body can stay pretty relaxed. And the left knee can be straight or bent, circling back in. You can also have a little bend in the extended in the right knee if you need to. And then draw that knee in towards the chest. And you might bring it just onto the outside of your torso. And just kind of drawing it in, breathing. You might release it a little bit and draw it in again. Feeling into the deep fold at the front of the hip. Keeping the sacrum and tailbone moving back towards the floor. And then bringing the sole of the right foot to the floor. Again, you can keep that knee bent or straighten the leg, your choice. Bringing left hand onto left knee and making circles with the hand on the knee in one direction. You might bring your right arm out to the side for counterbalance. And then circling in the opposite direction. And then you might extend that leg straight up, bringing both arms out to the sides, maybe bending your right knee and starting to make small circles with your foot in the air so the hip joint is rotating around your femur bone inside of your pelvis. Make the circles a little bit bigger as you go, feeling your belly has to be a bit engaged to support you as you do that. And then switch directions with the circles. And circling in tighter, and then draw your left knee in towards your chest. And just kind of drawing it in, maybe releasing it a little, and then drawing it in again, breathing. And release that. Making your feet about the width of your mat, maybe a little wider than your hips, arms out to the sides. Just let your knees go side to side, slowly. You might, as you bring, let's say you bring your knees to the right and your right knee touches the floor, you might then lift your left knee up until you can't lift it anymore and then let the right knee come up. And then the left knee comes down to the floor, right knee comes all the way over. Then you lift the right knee until you get to a point where the left knee has to lift. So noticing how that might be different, you might have a difference on the two sides in your range of motion. So going slowly. then maybe the next time your knees come over towards the right, just pause for a moment. Letting your upper body relax. And then letting the knees come to the other side and pause. Just getting the joints lubricated here, moving. And then back up again to center. And then let's, keeping the arms out to the sides, just lift your feet up. You could actually bring your knees together and then let your knees go side to side. You might not bring them all the way over too far. You might keep your shoulders down and feel the sides of your belly, the obliques, controlling the movement where you stop. And the lower belly, the muscles in the lower belly. And then draw your knees in again towards your chest and just rock a little bit, come back to center. And then straightening your legs up, let your legs go side to side without lifting your sacrum off the floor. So keep the sacrum pinned to the floor, the soles of the feet are pointed up towards the ceiling, and you're just going back and forth, keeping sacrum on the floor. So if you keep going, you'll feel one foot kind of slides down the inner ankle. Keep your upper body relaxed, and you'll begin to feel your belly getting pretty warm. A couple more times. And then draw the knees in again towards the chest. You might bring your knees out wide and bring your hands onto the knees, kind of like you're in an upside down frog pose. Just take a breath or two there. You could even bring your feet out wider so the heels are down from the knees. And then drawing the knees back together. Let's roll over onto your side and come up to hands and knees. So before we do that, let's stretch our fingers and wrists. So just turning your fingertips towards your knees, towards your body, and just stretching into your wrists. And you could kind of press one hand down and then lift the other. And then maybe turning your hands in the opposite direction gently. So you're probably not putting too much weight in, but just feeling into the backs of the wrists. You might turn your fingers out. Stretch that way a little bit. And then release that. And then let's come to hands and knees again. And just rock a little bit side to side into the wrists. Maybe making some circles, feeling the weight of your body over your wrists. Obviously, if it's too much, just don't go so far into it. You can bring your body weight back. And then tuck your toes and bring your hips back and stretch the bottoms of your feet. And that probably also is bringing some stretch into your calves. And then coming forward. And you could go forward and back a couple times. And then back to hands and knees. And let's do a few cat-cow. So rounding your spine, exhale, lifting belly. Inhale, let your belly drop. And moving like that. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, rounding. And then coming back down to center, bring your forearms to the floor and try a couple of cat-cows that way. You can always clasp the hands, or you can just bring the palms of your hands down. Try a few cat-cows with your forearms down. And then let's slide forward or just walk your feet back and come into Sphinx pose. So bring the elbows a little bit in front of your shoulders. If that's too much arch in the back, lift your belly and kind of tip your tailbone down towards your heels. You can also bring your elbows further forward. And just keep a little sense that your neck is not really overly engaged. Like there's some fluidity. You're moving it a little bit. And then release, just come down to the floor, rock the hips a little side to side. And let's keep your left leg really relaxed and lift your right leg. So keep your pelvis on the floor so you feel your hip bone doesn't lift up. You can keep your upper body relaxed or maybe just lift the head, but not a lot of engagement in the upper body. And then bring that leg down, lift your left leg. Breathing. And release that. Rock the hips a little bit back and forth, side to side. And then reach your arms forward and stretch, like maybe you can get a little grip on the carpet or maybe bringing your forehead down. So this is like a prostration, like long prostration. And then from there you could try lifting that right leg again, and this time lift your left arm. So maybe the thumb is pointing up. You can lift your head up off the floor and your shoulders, and then switch sides, lifting your right arm and your left leg. Try to keep the right leg from doing the work. So you're using the muscles in the back of your left leg. And then go side to side a few times. And release, and rock your hips. Then bringing the hands underneath your shoulders. Bring yourself back to prayer pose, walking your hands forward, lengthening your spine. You could wrap your elbows in and kind of broaden in your upper back. Walking your hands over to the left, keeping your right hip drawing back. Breathing, some space in between your rib cage and your pelvis. And then walking your hands over towards the right, drawing left hip back. Nice steady breath. You might feel the breath coming into the back of your body, kind of inflating the back of your body. And then back to center. And then coming back up to your hands and knees. Let's do one more pose here before we come to standing. So let's reach back with your right foot. Tuck your toes into the floor and kind of press back into the heel. You could even like kind of rock back a couple times, lifting belly. And then lift that leg up. Toes are pointing straight down so your sacrum stays level, belly's lifting. You might be able to lift your left arm, thumb pointing up. The gaze is forward. Nice steady gaze, steady breath. If you want more, you can always lift the top of your left foot off the floor. It's a little less stable. Your foot's kind of like your rudder there. So take another breath and then just release and circle your hips in one direction and then the other. Coming back to hands and knees to center, to tabletop position. Tuck your left toes, the ball of your foot, and stretch into the back of your left calf. Just kind of rocking. Keeping the back of your head lifted so you're not dropping the head. And let that foot float up, the toes pointing straight down, reaching forward with your right arm. You can always stay with just the leg too if you need to. So really reaching, you might lift right foot just a couple centimeters off the floor for a little more challenge. And release that again, circling your hips. One direction and then switch directions. And then let's come to stand. So consciously make your way to the front of your mat to stand. Just gonna bring my glasses over and set them down. So coming to the front of your mat and finding your feet on the floor. And so building your pose from the ground up. So feel your arches lifting. Your feet are hip width. If you bring your feet all the way together, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just much less stable. So you might go for hip width. And then bringing your head right on top of your shoulders, on top of your hips, and raise your arms up, reaching and lengthening, finding your breath. So let your breath be relaxed but full and powerful. Breathing in and out through your nose, lifting your pubic bone and grounding your sacrum. And then bending your knees, coming forward, hinging forward at the hips, coming into this long spine, into your forward bend. Excuse me. I have allergies. Gives me a little extra ab component. So you might move your hips a little side to side, maybe bending into one knee and the other. And then from here, step your left foot back and bring the knee down, bringing the weight of your body back and up over the left knee. Reach back and clasp your hands and gently stretch into your shoulders, keeping the head lifted, heart lifting, and breathing. And then release the hands. You could let them float up, reaching up. Again, the hands can remain shoulder width. You could try bringing them together just to see how that feels. It's a whole different thing. So finding your comfortable place where you can let your shoulder blades slide, soften the shoulders. And then let's take an easy twist. So maybe bringing your hand down to the floor by your foot. You can always put a block underneath. You could walk your knee back just a tiny bit and then open the chest. Keep drawing your right hip back. And take a breath or two here, getting some lift up out of the floor so you're not collapsing into the left shoulder. And then bring the arm down. And maybe come through hands and knees. Spread your hands at the front of your mat. And bend the knees, bring the hips back, tuck your toes, wrap the elbows in and lift the hips into downward facing dog. So you can keep your knees bent quite a bit. Maybe just moving a little bit, hips move side to side. And then from here, let's exhale, come forward into plank pose. with the head lifted, and you can always bring the knees down. So your choice, knees lifted or knees down. Taking a couple breaths here. And then, probably with your knees down, elbows by your sides, coming all the way onto your belly. Sweep your arms back and clasp your hands at your sacrum, rolling your shoulders up, lifting your toes. Coming into locust pose. And breathing. And releasing and coming back up. Tucking your toes and lifting up into your downward facing dog. Again, your heels do not need to come to the floor. You can keep your knees bent. The main thing is to push back, bring the hips up, lift the tail, wrap the elbows in so the shoulders can slide, your neck can stay long. And then from here we'll step left foot forward and coming up. And then we'll just bring the arms up. Lifting your gaze. The weight is balancing over the knee on the right side. Shoulder blades are releasing down the rib cage. Shoulders are softening, even as you're reaching. And then exhale, bring your right hand down by your left foot and take that twist. You can bring the right knee back a little bit if you need to. Opening your chest, keep drawing left hip back. Breathing. And sweeping the arm down. Tuck your toes, step forward into your forward bend. And your feet again are hip width. Let's add a little twist here. So bring your left arm across your thighs and just bring your right hand back to your sacrum and sit back like you're coming into a little bit of a squat. So the knees are moving back over the heels and then you're opening your chest. And then release that, and you could just straighten your legs for a moment or release the deeper bend of the knees. And then we'll sit the hips back again, bring the right arm across the thighs, kind of right above the knees, and then keep those sit bones moving back as you twist in your upper body. Draw the belly in, strong legs, and untwist and release again into your forward bend. Nice deep breath, and then we'll sweep the arms up, reaching up, lifting your gaze, grounding sacrum, lifting your heart, and hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment, just feeling the breath, feeling your heart beating. And then let's move through one more slow sun salutation. So sweeping arms up, gaze is lifting, nice steady breath. And exhale, come forward, hinging forward at the hips. Your hands can be on the shins or up on the thighs, wherever it is, to keep the spine long and this deep hinge happening at your hips. Sometimes it feels good to take your thumbs into the hips and kind of draw the hips back just to find that deep hinge. Then you could step your right foot back. The heel will lift and we'll come into a lunge. We're going to bend the back knee so that we can keep this same orientation of our pelvis. So hips are square. And take a breath here. A couple breaths. little deeper maybe. And then you might take a twist. So you could bring your right hand down by your left foot, maybe onto a block. Maybe you can straighten your right leg, lifting a little bit under your thigh, opening the chest. A block is totally fine under the hand. And then sweep your left hand down and try lifting that foot back and up to downward facing dog. Again, your knees can be bent, just keeping this long spine. So no rounding in the shoulders, keeping the neck in line with the rest of the spine. And then come to hands and knees and do a couple of cat-cows, rounding and arching. Lifting belly as you exhale. Inhale, let your belly drop. And then from here, let's come back to downward facing dog. And then we'll exhale into plank, which can be with the knees down or lifted. So the hips are right in between the crown of the head and the heels. So not hiking up or dropping too low. And then drop your knees and come all the way down again onto your belly. Two choices, you could come back to Sphinx pose, or you could bring your hands underneath your shoulders, bring the hips forward, coming into Cobra, rolling your shoulders back, and pressing into the floor and lifting up. Lifting belly, breathing. And then elbows by your sides, come down. And make your way back, either through prayer or back up to downward dog, taking a couple breaths. And if you're in prayer, come back up to dog, and we'll step the right foot to the front of the mat. Coming up, back knee is bent, hips are square. Coming into your lunge. Nice steady breath, steady gaze. Strong and steady breathing. Feeling how strong your legs are. Supporting your upper body. Then exhale, you can bring your left hand down for the twist by your right foot. Opening the chest, you can turn that left heel slightly in towards center. Drawing your right hip back. Breathing. And then bringing the right arm down, step forward into your forward bend. And forward bends are kind of calming, so taking a couple breaths there. And then we'll lift up, coming all the way up. And hands together at your heart. Pause again, just checking in. And then let's come sideways onto our mat. So we'll spread the feet and come into a wide-legged forward bend. Again, you could use a block here if you need one under the hands. We're not trying to round the back, so keeping your spine long, you could bend into one knee and the other, kind of letting your upper body relax a little. Moving your shoulders and your hips. And then coming back to center, let's bring the hands over towards the right lower leg or ankle, foot, drawing your left hip back. Maybe your head relaxes. Letting your breath be nice and full. And then bringing your left hand into the center of your mat between the line of the toes, we'll lift the right arm up, just turning and opening your shoulders, coming into the twist. So you're just turning your spine. Head stays lifted. And just another breath there, and then releasing your right arm back down. Pause and just kind of Do a little side to side, bending into one knee and the other, letting your shoulders release. Coming back to center, walking your hands over towards the left foot. And releasing your head, feeling the stretch all the way up the right side of your waistline and into the shoulder. Tipping your tail up. Feeling how you're standing on your feet. So just noticing that the whole sole of your foot is touching the floor. And then releasing and bringing the right hand into the center between the line of your toes. And then we'll turn into the twist, just opening the shoulders, keeping the right sit bone reaching back. And the head is lifted. And one more breath, and then release the arm. And bend again. And then from here, let's turn our bodies towards the left foot. So we're going to make our feet wider and come into pyramid pose. So you might actually come up and keeping this long spine coming forward, hinging at the hip again. So you might have a block. Or you might have your hands on your leg, or you might be able to touch the floor, but in any case, we're keeping that spine long. Lifting belly, letting your breath be really steady. And remember that your feet are hip width here too, so not too narrow of a stance. You might take a twist, bringing your right hand down, perhaps by your left foot, bringing your left hand back to your sacrum and opening your shoulder. You might lift the arm. Keep drawing your left hip back and right hip forward. Head stays lifted. And then the hand comes back down. Let's lift that foot up and come into pigeon. So the knee is out to the side, your left knee, and sliding your right leg back and coming forward, maybe to your forearms. You can also use a block or something underneath just to keep you a little higher and support you. So taking some breaths here. If this does not work well for your body because your knee is sore or it's too much, you can also come onto your back and bring your left ankle on top of your right knee and do a figure 4 stretch. So taking a few breaths here. Just kind of staying with your breath. And then leaning to your left, let's draw your right knee forward. Bring the knee into the sole of the foot. And then maybe you can turn into a little twist here. You might be up on your arms. You could come forward, but be careful with the back. Not too much torque in your low back here. And then turning back again towards the front of your mat. Let's bring the right foot further forward. Let's actually come into a little stretch of the back of the calf. So maybe you're sitting on your left foot, your left knee is bent, shin on the floor, and then just coming forward, and you can lift the heel, bring some weight forward, stretching the bottom of the foot and the calf and the Achilles. You can also keep the heel on the floor and maybe move a little bit side to side. And then sitting down and bringing that foot around, let's all straighten our left leg. Actually, let's bring the right foot onto the inside of the left thigh. So sitting up tall, so feeling the spine lengthening up, feeling your sit bones, and then let's try lifting your right foot up off the floor. Keep drawing the heel in towards the thigh. So you might kind of lean back a little, but you're not collapsing. You're sitting up, lifting your heart, and then extend your right leg. Draw the heel towards your thigh, bend the knee, straighten the leg. One more time. Heel in as far as you can, draw your belly in, and then extend, and then bring that foot back and down, and pause. And then we'll take a twist. So you can bring your left hand underneath your right thigh, just to help you keep your shoulders down, turning into the twist, opening the chest. Your sit bones are both heavy. You could flex your left foot, ankle. Breathing. And then unwinding. And just pause for a moment. And then let's let the right knee drop out to the side. You can always prop it with a block if you need to. And we'll come forward towards the left foot. So there's no need to round the back here. Keep your spine long. You might be able to reach your foot. You might have a strap. You could keep your hands on the floor. Nice, steady, deep breath. And then coming back up. Now you have your knee, your right knee out to the side. Let's swing the left foot back. Tuck your toes. Let's step back to downward dog. We've got to do our pyramid on the opposite side. So we'll step the right foot forward. The feet are hip width. You can angle the toes, the left foot out towards the edge of the mat. And then maybe you're coming up just to find your spine. And then coming forward with this deep hinge, drawing your right hip back, maybe to block or to your leg or to the floor, keeping your spine long. Breath is steady. It's a big stretch in the back of your left leg. And the left hip kind of wants to creep forward, so keep drawing it back as you bring, your right hip wants to creep forward. The right side of your torso kind of wants to contract, so draw it back and then come into your twist. Again, you can use a block if you need to. Keep drawing right hip back, opening the chest. The head doesn't come forward. It really is kind of leaning back. Legs are very strong and straight and steady. And then unwind your right arm and pause for a moment. And then we'll come into pigeon on this side. So bend the right knee, bringing it out to the side of your mat, sliding your left leg back, and maybe coming to your forearms. Just staying with it for a few more breaths. Taking an alternate pose if your knee is bothered by this. Keeping your spine long. And then leaning to the right, Bringing your left knee into the sole of your right foot and taking a little twist. And lifting as you twist. Breathing. And then we'll bring the left leg forward. Bend your left knee and extend your right leg. And sit up tall. And then release your hands. Try lifting your left heel up off the floor and drawing it in towards the thigh, and then extending that leg and drawing it back in, extending, bending the knee, drawing the heel in towards the thigh, draw your belly in, and then extend one more time. The next time you draw it in, pause, and then bring your foot down. Oh, that's such a relief. Sit up tall again. Find your breath. And then the right hand could come underneath the left thigh, reaching back with the left hand. Turning into the twist, you could really enliven your right leg. Flexing your ankle joint, bringing the toes back towards the shin, opening into the twist. And releasing. And then we'll let the left knee drop out to the side. And if we're coming forward at all, it's again with this long, neutral spine. So you might use a strap. The left knee is just dropping towards the floor. If it's up here like this, sometimes it's nice to support that. So put a cushion under it or a block. Just another breath or two here. And then coming back up. And let's extend the legs, both legs. And you can just bring your hands back behind you and then let your feet go side to side, kind of like windshield wipers, kind of back and forth or in and out like this. So you're kind of feeling your femur bones are kind of rotating in the pelvis. And then you could kind of bend your knees and do this little thing. We used to do this in ballet when we were doing all of our stretches. And then sitting up tall, you could try bringing your hands down by your hips and lengthening up. This is Dandasana. So lifting the heart. Sometimes the proportions of this pose don't work for everybody, so you can walk the hands forward too if you need to. And then release, trying a little forward bend, maybe with your strap around your feet. So Paschimottanasana, seated forward bend. We've already done this in a standing position. And now it's just a different orientation to gravity, so taking another breath. Maybe you're just sitting up, trying to keep your spine long. And then bend your knees. And you could just round forward, just kind of doing the opposite, but doing it intentionally. And then let's come into frog pose first. So bringing our knees apart and our feet together to begin with, keeping your spine long, finding the right place for your hips, kind of move back and forward and feeling into the right place where you feel like you're getting a good stretch and your pelvis likes it, your SI joint likes it. Taking a couple breaths there. And then just bringing the hips back and coming out of it. Let's try coming into crow. And if you're not up for an arm balance, you could just come into the first stage of crow. So you bring your hands probably about a little wider than, depending on how your body, a little wider than your mat maybe, or the width of the mat. So pretty wide. You're bending your elbows, and maybe you're just bringing the weight forward and opening the knees like this with the toes on the floor, keeping the spine long. Or maybe you can make that shelf with your elbows and you can lift one foot, or maybe you can lift both feet, keeping that long spine. Taking a couple breaths wherever you are. And then coming back out. And maybe you can come into a squat. So you might have to have the heels lifted to be able to get into your squat. Or maybe you can bring them down, but take a moment. If your back really rounds, put a lift under your heels, like a rolled up towel or mat or something. Or just lift your heels up. And then coming into a forward bend again. And just easing it out. So you could bring your hands up higher, keeping your spine long. And then coming all the way up. Let's do a couple things. I'm going to use the bar. If you're at home, you could use your kitchen countertop or a chair, the back of a chair. So let's just come and bring the elbows onto whatever surface you've chosen. So this would probably work pretty well with your kitchen sink or countertop, maybe. And you could draw the hips back and kind of press your fingertips together and palms apart. Breathing. Keeping the head from drooping too far forward. Bend the knees a little bit. And release that. And then you might bring your hands onto the surface that you've chosen, and it's okay if you can't grip it. We have the bar we can grip, but you could also just rest your hands there and move your hips a little bit side to side, lengthening through both sides of your torso. And then walk your feet back so you're in an L shape. And let your right leg float up as you rest your hands on that surface. So you're in Warrior 3. So really press back through the heel. Your hips stay level. Your sacrum stays level. So you're not opening your hip or drawing your left hip forward. And then let that leg come down. Just take a moment, wiggle the hips a little, and then again, coming into that 90-degree angle with the body, letting your left foot float up. Feel how your right hip wants to crunch forward and the right side of your body kind of wants to contract. So you can bend your right knee a little bit and lengthen the hip back, pressing back through the left heel. And let that leg come down, and just pause for a moment. Coming into the forward bend with the hands on the bar or the countertop, and then coming all the way up. And let's do a twist. So you're going to bring your right hip right up next to that back of the chair, countertop. You're going to step your left foot forward. Maybe your right hand rests on the surface in front of you. And you could reach back with the left hand. So the legs are really solid, your hips are square, and your upper body is turning. Staying with your steady breath. And then we'll slowly turn, unwind, and face yourself. You probably don't have a mirror in front of you, but... And then we'll bring the left hip right up against that counter left hand onto the surface, reaching back with your right hand. You might bend your right elbow a little bit. Hips stay square towards the front. You're just twisting in your upper body. You can do this without a surface also, just with your arms open. And breathing. You might look back over your right shoulder. And releasing. And coming into a forward bend one more time with the hands on your chosen surface. And then maybe you have a wall you can use in your house. We're gonna do a few stretches on the wall. I just need to check out my camera. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So let's do a quad stretch. Now this one's pretty intense, so you might want like a folded up towel under your knee or something. We're gonna bring the right knee back towards the wall. And maybe you have something under the knee to cushion it. You're really coming right in front of your kneecap. And then you're gonna step your left foot forward. So you're basically in a lunge. If that's just too much, just don't be at the wall. Do it more out in the center. And so you're low right now. You're staying low. You can bring both hands on the inside of the left foot, keeping your spine long though. And you can always put your hands up on something, blocks or... And then maybe you can bring one hand to the left knee and then maybe the other. Coming up and deepening. Or you can stay low. So a big stretch of the quads and the hip flexor muscles. If this is out of the question for you, I'm going to show you another option would be just to put your left hand on the surface that you've chosen and reach back for your foot like this. So you get a stretch that way. And then go ahead and come out of that side and then we'll do the other side. We'll bring the left knee back, maybe cushioning it, coming in front of the kneecap, stepping the right foot forward. So staying low to begin with. Breathing. And then maybe coming up with the hands on the knee, bringing the buttocks closer to the heel. Just finding your place where you feel a good stretch. And again, it doesn't have to be with your knee up against the wall. You could do it right out the center of your room. Or you could stand and do a standing quad stretch. So releasing. And then let's come out and let's bring our hips up against the wall. And we'll turn and just bring your legs up the wall. You can bring your arms up above your head and stretch. I'm just staying there for a few breaths. Just letting your upper body be heavy. You could also bend your elbows so your arms are more like, kind of like in this goalpost shape. Just feeling the good feeling of having your legs up the wall. If you work on your feet a lot during the day, it feels good to put your legs up the wall at the end of the day. Or, if you're experiencing any swelling or edema in your lower legs or feet, your doctor has probably told you to get your feet up. And then you're here at the wall, you might let your legs come into a straddle position. It's best if you have your sit bones right up against the wall. And so just letting yourself come into this supported straddle. So you're on your back, so you can feel the back kind of pressing your tailbone and sacrum back towards the floor, so you're not rolling up. I'm taking a few breaths here. Excuse me, my goodness, sleepy. The closer I get to the floor, the sleepier I get. And then bend your knees, and you could bring the soles of your feet together. That feels a little bit uncomfortable on the outer edges of the feet. You can always put like a little something behind your feet, a pillow or something. But see if you can let the soles of the feet open. That feels better. As you press your knees away. So you're in a reclined cobbler's pose. Kind of feel your belly scooping up. And then draw your knees together. This is really like a squat now. So you could walk your feet hip width. Now you're in a squat on your back. So noticing where you feel resistance here. For me, it's in my hips, so my low back kind of wants to roll up. What you could do is just push away from the wall a little, so you're not in quite such a deep squat. It's interesting to flip this position, because normally we'd be squatting with our feet on the floor. And then you could push away a little bit more from the wall and keep your left foot on the wall and bring the right ankle on top of your left knee. And you might have to push further back, or you might need to come closer to the wall, just finding the right spot where you're getting a good amount of stretch in your right outer hip rotators, and you can still keep your tailbone moving back towards the floor, so you're not rolling up. And then you could straighten your left leg and bring it up the wall and kind of push your knee away. And then we'll release that side and we'll bring left ankle on top of right knee. Trying to move your tailbone back towards the floor so that you're in a neutral lower back curve here. Not too arched, not too rounded. And then maybe you're straightening your right leg up the wall. And then release. And maybe come into a squat again, maybe with your feet wider. You can even kind of traction a little bit, press into your thighs. Kind of feel your spine lengthening. And then drawing the knees together, rolling onto your side. And we'll come back away from the wall. And let's come back out to our spot. I'm going to move my camera back. Actually, I'm going to move it down because we're going to come down onto the floor. And yes. So we'll come back onto our back. And you might want to strap for this last thing that we're going to do. So if you do, get something like a belt or a strap, or so bend your left knee and bring the strap underneath the ball of your right foot, or use your hands. In any case, watching again for your lower back to roll up, to round, and avoid that. Keep your back in this more neutral position. Let your shoulders relax. Use the strap to make your arms longer so that you don't have to reach and round the shoulders. You might extend your left leg, and then you can take the strap into the right hand, the left arm out to your side, and let your right foot come over towards the right, so you're in a stretch of your inner thigh, flexing your foot. Keep the left side of your body grounded. And then bringing that foot slowly up. If you're using a strap, switch to your left hand and extend your right arm. And then let your foot come over without lifting your sacrum up, just keeping it pinned to the floor as your foot comes over. Feeling that interesting stretch in the outer hip. And then let your sacrum come up, coming deeper into the twist, maybe with a strap or hand on the foot. And breathing. And then bringing that foot back up and switching. Bringing your opposite foot, your left foot, into the strap. Maybe extending through the right leg. And then drawing your toes back towards your head, towards your body. Keeping the leg straight, so you might need to back off a little bit to find your neutral spine. So if the tailbone starts to roll up and the lower back rolls up, back off and find the place where you can keep that lumbar curve and work from there. Steady breath. Taking the strap in your left hand and opening the foot out to the side. Keeping the right side of your body on the floor so your sacrum's not lifting. Breathing and bringing that foot back up. Switch. Bring the strap into the right hand and then left arm out to the side. Sacrum stays on the floor as the leg comes over. You can even tuck your thumb into the hip crease so you're not lifting sacrum, but the foot's still coming over towards the right. Lengthening the left side of your torso, and then let that foot come up and over. Deeper into the twist. You might look back over your left shoulder. Breathing. And then bringing that foot back up to center. Release the strap, just set it off to the side. And draw the knees in towards the chest, rocking a bit. And then you could, again, one more time, just extend your legs and arms up and shake them. Just letting go of all of that stuff you did, letting it go. Just like kind of like a bug on its back. Shaking, and then draw the knees in towards the chest again. Knees come apart, soles of feet together. Coming into this reclined bound angle, reclined cobbler's pose. Starting to let the breath just come to its natural rhythm, no effort. You could bring your arms up and clasp your elbows and take a few breaths here, and then we'll extend the legs and bring the arms down by the sides, the palms facing open, backs of the hands on the floor. Just letting yourself relax, coming into your corpse pose. So Feeling the back of your body against the floor. Allowing yourself to surrender the full weight of your body. The earth will hold you down. Gravity's got your back. Just imagining your body, it's made of a large percentage of liquid. So imagine now that that liquid is kind of having a chance to spread out some. So your body's widening, expanding. It's taking up space. And let your breath come into a very gentle, natural, comfortable rhythm. Releasing your jaw. Letting your eyes settle back into the skull. Relaxing the lips. Feeling some spaciousness in your chest. And also maybe in your mind. And just a few more breaths like that. In and out through your nose, gently. Feeling the effects of your practice. And from there, we'll just bend the knees and roll over onto your side. And coming back to your seat with a nice, heavy, relaxed body. If you like to sit up on a cushion or a block, you could do that. Just coming back to your long spine. Feeling how your head is nicely balanced on top of your shoulders, which are balanced on top of your rib cage and pelvis. Finding your long, neutral spine and finding the breath here. So let's inhale and retain the breath. Just relax your shoulders, relax your face, let your body organize around the retained breath. Then exhale. Inhale. Retain the breath. Relaxing shoulders, face. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, deep breath. Pause at the top and retain the breath. Really relaxed around it. And exhale. And then let the breath come back to a comfortable, natural rhythm. And then you might pause, bring your hands together at your heart. You could bow your head to your own practice, your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. Thank you so much. And thank you again for all of your donations and class contributions to the Hatha Yoga Center. The Hatha Yoga Center has been continuously operating in the University District in Seattle for over 40 years. And it's pretty cool that throughout this quarantine, we've been able to keep it going. So we thank you so much, our students, and I will be back at 8:15 with meditation, and then tomorrow is Thursday morning yoga with Key. Thank you.